meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the Speed Meter Steel, it's my newfangled automobile.
Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. Now picture in your mind a turn of the 20th century wealthy and successful British businessman. If you're like me, you may have pictured a small, well-dressed fellow calmly enjoying his tea on the lawn while watching a polo game on his estate, his stately Rolls Royce being parked nearby. Yet the wealthy British businessman behind the design of that car was a huge gorilla of a man, boisterous and gruff, a man that would stride up to the bar, order a quart instead of a pint, and then slap his buddy on the back so hard his teeth fall out. This is, of course, Claude Johnson. Born in Datchet, England, into an artistic family in 1864, Claude's father, William, was himself a respected sculptor and was a staff member at the South Kensington Museum of Arts. Young Claude took the nickname of CJ early in life, and like his father, had artistic gifts. Yet he certainly didn't look the part of an artist. He was a big man, broad and well-muscled. He was also quite loud and very charismatic. His laugh was a roar that could shake the walls. Yet he was also a man of sharp wit and did well in school. He received his degree in arts from St. Paul's School and soon after began work at the Imperial Institute. CJ proved to be a natural and competent leader, possessing both a keen business mind and genuine compassion for those he knew and worked with. The Imperial Institute, today known as the Commonwealth Education Trust, was at the time a hub of artistic, industrial, and scientific development, and CJ was quite gifted at managing projects. It was during this time that he became interested in automobiles, and in 1896, through the Institute, organized the first car exhibition to be held in England. Of course, the Red Flag Act was still in effect at the time, but it did generate interest in cars amongst the upper-class Britons of the day. One of the attendees of CJ's exhibition was Mr. Frederick Sims. Sims was very impressed by the enthusiasm and showmanship demonstrated by Claude Johnson. CJ was good at organizing and promoting automotive events, just the kind of person Sims needed once the Red Flag Act was revoked. That event happened late in 1896, and a few months later, Frederick Sims established the Royal Automobile Club. Sims knew that the club had a lot of work to do in order to get the late Victorian-minded British public enthusiastic about cars, but he remembered that big, boisterous ringleader that could get the job done. And so CJ became the first secretary of the club and went to work. He began by organizing and promoting motoring events all across Britain, exhibitions, performance trials, and rallies. And he would be there, larger than life, greeting the spectators and participants, making the announcements to the crowds, running the show. His biggest show was the 1,000 Miles Trial of 1900, a grand tour from London to Edinburgh and back. This 20-day event attracted some of the most famous drivers of the day, as well as huge crowds along the route. Every newspaper in England covered the event, writing headlines and stories of the automotive adventures on British soil. It can indeed be said that the British public as a whole accepted the automobile as a result of this event, which was itself masterminded by Claude Johnson. Because of his work in the RAC, CJ knew and was well known by just about anyone who was anyone in the British automotive industry. One of those anyones was Charles Rolls. Rolls was already a well-known and respected racer, and he wanted to get into the car business. Rolls had said that his goal was to have his name on an iconic car, and he was looking for opportunities. Rolls opened his car dealership in 1903, and his intention was clear: use the money from selling cars to finance his own make. However, this would mean making money selling cars. Enter CJ. CJ left the RAC in 1903 to partner with Rolls. Rolls would do the racing while CJ promoted his business and sold the cars behind him. And it worked. The company was making money and gaining in prestige. But they were still not making cars yet. Rolls had been introduced to Henry Royce in 1904, and the two were interested in working together. However, Rolls and Royce weren't really compatible. Royce was a brilliant engineer, but not the best at business organization or salesmanship. Rolls was a good promoter and daredevil, but not particularly detail-oriented. CJ was the man between them, a good promoter himself, great at organizing and selling, and able to deal with the pedantic nature of Royce. Rolls-Royce went into full swing by 1906. The goal was clear: to build the best car in the world. Rolls did the racing and promoting, Royce did the engineering, and CJ ran the company and did the selling. In order to accomplish the goal while keeping Royce and Rolls happy, CJ did a lot of things, and two stand out in particular. First, he instituted the production policy of making only one model, the 4050, which he himself called the Silver Ghost. This model remained the only car in production from Rolls-Royce for 19 years. Coincidentally, Ford's Model T was also in production for 19 years, so it was obviously not a bad strategy from the big guy. The other thing he did was to add further prestige to the mark by creating the first bespoke hood ornament. Hood ornaments, or car mascots as they're known across the pond, are small figurines that can be attached to the radiator cap. Many companies across Europe were making these things after the turn of the century, and these mascots could be of anything: a laughing policeman, a pelican, a frog, a cactus, and you name it. CJ decided to make the hood ornament a brand standard instead of an aftermarket whimsy, and so he commissioned the artist Charles Sykes to design the most famous hood ornament in history, the Spirit of Ecstasy, the mascot of Rolls-Royce. Charles Rolls died in 1910 in a plane crash, and from that point, CJ was the man behind the company, helping the rather frail Royce continue his engineering work while keeping the goal, reputation, and growth of Rolls-Royce alive. Claude Johnson was definitely not your typical British businessman. Yet this bull in the china shop was amongst the greatest of them all. And despite his physique and manner, never once disturbed a single plate or dish. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.